Hello everybody and welcome back to another reading of The Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia. Okay, so I switched. So once again, the high setting on the high setting on the recorder went pretty well. Now that I look through my video settings on my capture program a little better. So I'm trying the best video quality now. The thing is, I just didn't want to risk anything, because I don't know how. I think this is a great project to test video outputs on, because I can, if there's any problems with the recording, I can just redo it, and there's nothing I've lost or nothing I've gained, or I won't get something different the second time when I prefer the first time. It'll work out great. So everything seems fine. Looks pretty good. I'm digging it. We'll find out on YouTube, of course, because that's what processes this. And today we're going to start on page 40. And continue on to page 52 with the when they'll make us just about little yeah, look at really actually, you know what, I'm gonna read the page 60 because the then we can get to the history of Hyrule in the next part. So let's begin. We're going to begin by reading The Sealed Grounds. This is where Link lands when he first arrives from the sky. An evil being slumbers here. It is also where the goddess slept for 1,000 years under the protection of Sheikah, of the Sheiks. A part of the sealed temple that is still on the surface because there is a higher humidity here. There is more moss on this temple than on its counterpart on the island in the sky. The ceiling is brighter blue than the roof. The goddess's mark appears from the ceiling and draws a connection with the statue of the goddess on the island in the sky. Interesting. So yeah, the sealed temple entrance. Got a bunch of cool stuff. Here's a couple of screenshots. It is a very lovely area. This is the first place the player lands on the surface, so we consciously made it dark to really contrast with the sky and make it a mysterious place. We've kept several key elements of the game in mind when designing the sealed grounds, namely the goddess's harp and the birds. Kobayashi, designer. And yeah, look at that. Lots of cool stuff, some shrines. The sealed grounds and sacred places. Let me zoom out just a little bit. There we go. This sacred place has a unique atmosphere. It is rich in vegetation and wildlife. Warm beams of sunlight bathe the area. The sealed grounds probably has no direct connection with to other titles, but it's hard not to be reminded of similar places where items like the Master Sword are found. Oh, so they're comparing it to like the Temple of Time. It makes sense to me. Probably, if it wasn't for Link to the Past being that the Temple of Time was built over where the Master Sword was found in the Forever Woods, I would go on to say that that's the Temple of Time. Big boss arena. I was there once. Didn't get to fight a boss yet, though. I didn't get that far in the game yet. I am working on Skyward Sword right now. Let's see. It will glow one size larger and longer. Generally has shallow carvings when glowing. The color is a pale bluish white. Will match the color of the sword when charged. The mark of the three goddesses goes here and appears on each side. Interesting. Yeah. So here's a bunch of interesting stuff. You got all these planned out cue cards to figure things out. As we were thinking about how we wanted the gameplay to work with the imprisoned, we knew that the player must be conscious of where the enemy was at all times. So we designed the large corkscrew-shaped hole. It aligns with the bottom of the Isle of the Goddess. As we were planning, we also kept in mind that this land is sacred but dangerous dangerous place where an unspeakable evil was sealed and watched over by the Sheikah. Fujibayashi, director. Kobayashi, designer. Ocarina of Time 3D, got one of those crests that look like buttons, and Oracle of Ages with their crests of the Farwar, Nairu, and Din, the three goddesses of Hyrule. The three crests. Carved on the stake in the head of the imprisoned are the crests of Farwar and the other two goddesses. They were modeled on crests that appeared in earlier games. The crests were also associated with the sages and different races, and appear in other games as well as this one. Okay, Faron Woods. The great tree stands in the center of the vast forest, and a variety of living things come here to ask for its blessing. The forest is home to the Kikwi, and the Parella live in the forest in the Lake Floria to the south. All this will be renamed, of course, in the future. Beautiful illustrations. Yeah. Faron Woods was designed using a painterly style, because we were trying to make a forest world that looked like something out of an illustrated storybook. Since the forest is the first area the player will visit, we tried to make it bright and easy to navigate. To keep people from getting bored, we packed the area with tons of fun things so the player stays engaged. Nishibi, the designer. Interesting. Whoopsie, didn't mean to do that. Okay, am I back on my page? I didn't know I could do that, actually. Alright, so yes, the Great Tree. I'm sure this is the first Deku tree of the series. Beautiful stuff, man. Beautiful stuff. Skyview Temple. Very lovely. Official visuals right here. Looks very nice. Lake Floria. Lake Floria is the first underwater stage, but it is a little small. We wanted an area where the player could have fun swimming around for hours and decided on an underwater forest. After struggling with the concept, we chose to go with some place the player had been before, so we flooded Faron Woods to make a massive area for the player to swim around in. Fujibayashi, director. And it's very lovely. Very lovely indeed. Let's see, Faron the Water Dragon. One of the three dragons assigned to protect the surface of the goddess Faror. Faron has a gruff personality. She flooded the forest to cleanse it of the demons. Okay. Cool stuff, man. Water is flowing through his tail. Sparkling effect. Just so they know what to program the computer. Small chin. Eyes closed. Please make the lines under eyes shaded. Slapped foot. Hands are also needed. Here's some more visuals. Ancient Cistern official visual. Some early draft designs. The Ancient Cistern. Once again, it was something I like about showing the actual pages. I don't have to read every last little detail and then show you the pictures. Since we can all see it here very clearly, this makes this project go a lot quicker, which I like. Because it's the second read-through, you don't really need to take your time with it like the first one, but you can just catch on things that you didn't before. You can think of it more technically rather than just be surprised and enjoy yourself emotionally. You can put your mind into it too. And that goes for a lot of forms of media, and I'm really enjoying this. It makes me really want to make sure I do a third read-through. Probably not on this channel, because what's the point then, unless they make another version of this book. Which I hope one day, maybe for even their 30th anniversary, they make a second volume of the Hyrule Historia, to update some stuff. I think that would be cool. I would think it would be cool. I would like that if the Hyrule Historia becomes an encyclopedia set. Like, it's amazing, if I may go on a tangent for a second, it really amazes me how a lot of Nintendo franchises, you can make a whole, college course over, both undergrad, graduate, PhD, especially in games like Pokemon. You can get, someone can be have a doctorate in that kind of stuff. There's so much information. The biology of Mario characters, terrains, how Mario's physiology, Link's mythology, the different Links in the world, the Triforce, the magic within the world, the history of the world. There's so much to study, and that's just one of the things that attracts me to Nintendo so much. We can also take that with Metroid, Star Fox. They have a core universe that's so much. It's so believable because it has everything. It was all cared for and thought out very well. And, sometimes Nintendo is paying attention to more franchises than others, but, you never know what they have up their sleeve. But, that's not about Nintendo. The point is, it's very enjoyable to see something like this, like the Hyrule Historia, and it'd be really cool to see more stuff like this in the future. That's just my 2 cents on the thing. Okay, Koloktos. A guardian protects the ancient cistern. While he appears to be an incredible marvel of ancient art, inside he brims with dark energy to bring him alive. Yeah, I know there are robots in Skyward Sword. Crazy stuff, huh? Here's the Gorons. This guy I met. He's cool. Don't worry, guys. He's cool. And here's the Kikwi. Let's read. Let's start off with these guys, the Gorons. We know. Wow, you know, it really always amazes me. Gorons are very tough. You know, they really. I mean, well, they're made of rock, but even in Wind Waker, where they can't swim because they'll sink to the bottom and drown, these guys find a way to survive. They come traveling merchants, floating on rafts and all, but it's amazing because even here, in the first ever game within the Hyrule, before Hyrule existed, they are still here. And they've been surviving for countless centuries. In Skyward Sword, the Gorons act as Link's guides. Their curiosity has led them to explore the surface world, and explains their being located all over it. We originally planned to go with a more primitive design, but as there are many new species in this game, we decided to go with a more familiar look. Hirono, designer. Kobayashi, director. I'm glad they went with that move, because the Gorons are actually a species I really do like. They're always fun characters. I was playing. They're really fun in. I was playing Oracle of the Seasons recently, and I love going to Death Mountain. Their monologue's pretty funny when you talk to the NPCs. And here's a new species, and once again, I will reiterate, I like how that decision they made to keep them looking the same because of all these new species in the game. Because you know they all got involved and stuff. It's like. Again, you know, you can make a lot of connections between Wind Waker and Skyward Sword, because Wind Waker had that too, where the Koroks were evolved from the Kokiri tribe in Ocarina of Time, and I always forget their names. The bird people. I'm sorry, I always forget their names. We'll learn it later on when we get to the Wind Waker part of this book, but. They were from Zora's. It's really cool. They are anyway, let's look at the Kikwi. They are gentle and have easygoing personalities. When asked, Fee will reveal a variety of information about each individual. When the opportunity arises, ask her about them. Hirono, designer. I will do that. Yearable, final design. Look at all these guys. So they gave them all little personalities. And they have their own names. Macho, Ulo, Lopsa, Area, final designs, Bacha. Please forgive me if I mispronounce these names. It's hard though when you have games based on text, you know. If you want my opinion on it, voice acting in a Zelda game would be, I think, is unnecessary. Personally, I think it's something because a lot of people make a debate about that, and it's understandable, you know. I get it, I do, but the thing is. I think it would just take away something from the game, because when you think of Link, you think of him, you can name him, and you think of that as I am this character, and that's what the creators of this game obviously want. On top of that, in the past, people have been very picky with the voice acting, and if they ever change the voice actor, even though Link has to be a different person in every game, unless there's a direct sequel, they always get a hissy fit about it. It's like, oh, come on. I think it's best left undone. Besides, I'm sure Nintendo's very afraid of doing voice acting again after Super Mario Sunshine. Personally, I think they did fine. I mean, it's not the best voice acting in the world. I think they did a fine job, but yeah, it wasn't very well received. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Also, I guess I might as well say this now. I finished while I'm doing a tangent here. I finished the Link Between Worlds yesterday. That was a great game, and I just want to take this time to say I can't recommend that game enough. It's nice finally having a 2D Zelda game after a while, and it was a blast. I had a lot of fun with it. They were very faithful to Link to the Past, but you know what? I thought when I first played the game, I thought the merging walls would be overpowered, but it turned out actually very helpful. And you know, there's so many times I had this 2D logic in my head, like there'll be this gap. I'm like, oh. Great. Now, how am I going to jump over this? There's no Rock's Feather in this game. I'm like, oh yeah, I can merge in the wall to go to the other side. And then the tools were very cool. It was a lot more comprehensible. Probably because I always had the map on me at all times on the bottom screen. It was just a very nice experience. I haven't 100%ed it yet, which I'm going to work on. I will say though, I only have one complaint. My only complaint is this game has a circle pad. It's on the 3DS. It has but it still has 8-directional movement. Now, if this had the D-pad, I wouldn't have a problem with that. but it's running on the circle pad. I have an issue with that because there's so many bosses I want to get more. Like even Animal Crossing. Obviously they do it on a grid system, but it still has a circle direction. It still has like a what's the word? A 360 directional movement. That's just me though. It's not something that gets in the way of the game though. There's just one annoying boss that you really suffer because of it. It's the desert palace, the desert dungeon. That was the only boss I had trouble with the 8-directional movement. But you know, ultimately, it's such a fantastic game, and the ending will blow your mind, which unfortunately I will spoil for you when I talk about that, because since it's the new core Zelda game, I want to talk about how it fits in the timeline, and when we get to there, we'll get to there. Until then, let's continue. Finally, I'm sure you guys were going nuts because you're staring at these words for like ever, and I'm not reading them. And design plans for forest creatures. The Kikwi beat out the other designs and were eventually established as the forest creatures because they adhered to the idea that we set out with, which was that of creatures that took the form of and appeared in the guise of grass or other plants. Also, their innocent facial expressions embody the spirit of the forest. Yeah. Also, I was thinking about it. I still want to make sure you guys can read these, like, here too, because I'm not going to read every little detail, especially on the flashcards, but, I mean, in the end, even if this works out with me changing the quality and all, if I can never get the perfect quality for this project, I would say it's a good reason if you guys don't have the book to get the book. I think this is a book that people should have. Every Zelda fan should own the Hyrule Historia. And it seems impossible to get, but I see them in comic book stores once in a while. Like, I actually, last summer, I bought a second copy because I wanted an unsealed copy. I have one for reading and one for keeping in the bag. And there was a lot of them in the comic book stores. They pop up once in a while, so take a look for them. Nintendo World should be keeping their eyes on those too. If you guys ever want to go to the city, New York City or something, because they should have them, right? No, wait, yeah, I was there a couple of weeks ago. They do. There were plenty of copies. It was really nice to go to the city. I haven't been there in a very, very long time. Well, not a very long time. I was at Comic-Con. But moving on, the Perella after early versions of the Zora, I'm guessing. The sketches started with images of small fish laughing, darting about, and having fun. We decided on the design of the standard Perella with what looks like small pieces of coral on its head. Ooh, fancy. The leader of the Perella, who guides Link, has a larger coral on her head, which she uses a key to unlock the door. Yes, indeedy. Kaneko, designer. The Phantom Zora. We originally planned to have a race that closely resembles the Zora, but we were told to design a more primitive race, and the idea was rejected. Okay. That looks pretty cool. I would have liked to see that. They do look like a primitive version of the Zoras right here. Yeah, these very lovely designs. Got the squids on their head. Yeah, what page are we up to? 49. Eldwin Volcano. It is an area of active eruptions, and over half the land is covered in lava. That's the reason that there are many fire-tinged monsters living there. The Magma, who are excellent diggers and move underground, also live there. We wanted to allow the player to have fun with the differences in elevation, so we immediately decided to add mountains. In the primitive volcanic belt lie ruins that have slowly lost the battle with time, and have the reputation of being infested with bokoblin monsters. The dungeon design was based off the Southeast Asian architecture and coloring, which is why you see an extensive use of vibrant primary colors. Fujibayashi, director. Shirai, designer. Yeah, look at that stuff. That is a volcano. Eldin the Fire Dragon. One of the 3 dragons, he's the protector of the Eldin province. He lives a secluded and hermetic life at the top of the volcano. Same idea, just a red thing. Earth Temple. Earth Temple, official visual. Very nice, very nice. Scaldera. This monster torments Link in the Earth Temple. It begins as a typical rock, but given life through Girahim's magical power. Yeah, oh, that's gross looking. Fire Sanctuary. Lovely, lovely. Here's some magmas. Yeah, they're pretty good looking. The magmas. We wanted the magma to be a race of burrowers. Despite being tenacious treasure hunters, they are surprisingly timid. They actually have a rare developed culture. In this initial designs, they looked a bit more human. Laughs. Hirono, designer. Yeah, they kind of do. But this is what they went with. Nice little sloth bear kind of look. There's like a humanish looking one. That one looks like something Jonan Vasquez would draw right there. Okay, albino version. Ooh. Okay, Lanairu Desert. A widespread arid area. Long ago it was lush with greenery, but several hundred years ago it began a sudden transition into desertification. Before it was a desert, ancient robots were used to mine a powerful ore known as as time shift stone, and that I know is very important to the plot. Time shift stones. The original Legend of Zelda for the NES actually was going to be past and future. Link used to have to go to the future to collect data chips and go to the past to collect scrolls to save the whole timeline from Ganon to take over the world. But because of the limitation of the NES, that was scrapped. And it was for the best, because the Legend of Zelda series would have been very different if they took that angle. In fact, you can still... I'm sure it's in this book, so I won't give any more details. We were thinking about creating an area that was drastically transformed from one landscape to another, and thought, what would be a fitting landscape to show dramatic change? We decided on a desert that used to have plant life and a great sea. In the Lanairu Sand Sea area, the dungeon has fairy tale qualities. So we decided to make the dungeon a ship that floats over the desert. We also wanted it to be mobile, which is another reason that we decided on a ship. Fujibayashi, director. Shimizu, designer. Lovely, lovely. I hate these kind of pictures. They don't come up very well on the TV, on the screen there. It comes up very well on my gamepad. I mean, obviously because my gamepad's in HD, but yeah. Just so you know, one day I'm gonna invest in an HD capture card. I know I really do. I'm chewing your off with this. I know. I'll admit it. But it's just really just me nagging to myself about this. I really want the best videos I can make. One day I will spring for one. Something I should be doing is maybe trying to see if I can render my videos in HD when I process them for to put on YouTube. The thing is, I don't think it'll make a difference, and I'm wasting memory because I'm recording these all in standard definition. So why process them in HD? If someone can please help me and tell me if it will make a difference, even though I am recording this with S video, the best they can do is 480p, which is like the highest you can get with standard definition. But if I did this, if I took the 480p and processed it with under 720p, would that make a difference? Someone wants to let me know. That'd be great. Stone statue designs. With the activation of the time shift stones, this area transitions between the present and the past, and we have tasked with using this theme in desert. First, we thought about how the gameplay would work with this time change, and from there, how that change could keep the game interesting without sacrificing gameplay. Shimizu, designer. Almost said director. Don't want to give him that much credit. Director's a tough job. The power to control time. With this talk of controlling time, one can't help think of the Ocarina of Time. The Ocarina of Time has the same color of the time shift stones. Could they be made of the same material? I remember the first time I read this, and I'm sure if you guys watch that series, I won't be surprised you remember that too. Because I really love these little facts in the bottom, because that is a cool thing, you know. That's why Ocarina of Time's so magical. It's really cool, and you know the Wind Waker is the same color as Ocarina of Time. Maybe that's made of time shift stone. It's really cool stuff to think about. Okay, more of the Lanairu Mining Factory visuals. Yeah. Here's a little diagram of size placement for when they design it in the final version of the game. Lanairu Mining Facility. The 1,000-year Arika Muldarak. A monster that inhabits the inner depths of the mining facility. It is said that when an Arak lives for 1,000 years, it becomes a Moldarak. It's got eyeballs in his hands. That's gross. Ancient harbor. Can't see that very well. I can see that pretty fine. Just drawing a bunch of boats in dock. There's some boats right there. Skipper's boat. Skipper. With Gilligan, the skipper too. The billionaire and his wife. Okay, I got carried away. Skipper. Gilligan's Island is back on TV Land. I'm really cool. I'm really excited about that. Skipper's Retreat. A movie star. I'm done. Shipyard. Very nice. It's really cool to see Link go in these different terrains. Like, even though this is the most ancient form of Hyrule, of Zelda universe, I should say, because there's no Hyrule yet. It's really cool to see Link go through all these terrains and all these like different seemingly time periods, even though it was all in the same time. And remember, the ancient world was not so ancient. That's something a lot of historians would that's a big part of historian philosophy, and I really admire that. Pirate Stronghold. Sand Ship. Here's Tantalus versus... she should fight Godzilla in the new movie. This boss fight on the sand ship, Tantalus is a giant octopus monster designed with a tentacle hair that's hard not to notice. You bet. What page are we on? 56. Just checking. Here's the... I'm assuming the third dragon. Yes. The Under Dragon Lanairu. One of the three dragons, he is the protector of the Lanairu Desert. He looks forward to someone to finding him and accepting his challenge. He's a fighter, a scrapper. This looks like the oldest, too. Ancient Robot. That's what they look like. Ancient Robot final design. We wanted to create a robot, but did not want to come across as cold and lifeless. So we decided to make it look more like a clay figurine. After we had the general direction, everything else came together rather quickly. Hirono, designer. Very cool. You gotta dig this kind of stuff, you know? Yeah. Powered with magic. Ooh, with whimsy. Yes, I watch Brain Scratch commentaries. Magic. Ooh, that cracked me up. Not great at time later. Silent Realm. The Silent Realm is a spiritual realm. Only those who have been chosen by the goddess are allowed to enter. In order to complete the Master Sword, Link must brave hitherto unknown challenges in a mysterious world that remains closed to outsiders. That kind of looks like a Mechon from yeah, it kind of looks like a Mechon a little bit from Xenoblade. In fact, a lot of these look like kind of like Mechon. There's a fancy Poe right there. Of course, it's not a Poe. The Guardians were designed to be the Guardians of the Goddess, so their clothes are covered with designs that reference the Triforce. While we wanted them to be scary, they are not evil, so we decided to give them them neutral expressions. Kaiuchi, designer, and you gotta admire that kind of thought they put into this stuff, you know. Silent Realm and Twilight. Collecting the glowing sacred tears in the Silent Realm harks back to Twilight Princess, where the tears of light are assembled within the vessel of light in order to resurrect spirits within. And I really hated that. The tears were not a very enjoyable part of Twilight Princess, honestly. I mean, I liked the idea, but I just think the execution was a little off. Monsters that haunt the surface. Not all residents of the surface are friendly. Some are subordinates of the Demon Kings from ancient wars. Since the demise of the Demon Kings, their numbers have multiplied, and now they're destroying the surface. Basically a bunch of keys. Or as a lot of people like to call them, Zubats. They're just as annoying. Fire Keys, Dark Keys. And these are another species that live all throughout time. Croc, final version. Gwei, final version. There's another bird, lots of birds. The Threats of the Sky, yes, bunch of birds. Where are we? Page 60. Should I keep going? For some reason, pages 60 to 66 are not in the table of contents, which is kind of weird. But, I do want to finish this, honestly, today. You know what? It's just another 6 pages. Let's go for it. Dark Vanguard. Red Bokoblins. Yeah, I was going to say, Vanguard? I thought these were Bokoblins. Another form of the moblin. The initial designs looked pretty cute, but we realized that they looked too cute. It took the fun out of attacking them, so in order to make them look scarier, we sharpened their teeth and made their eyes smaller and narrower. Once we had the design for the first bokoblin, the other types were developed from there. They are important players in many different places. Kayuchi, designer. Cursed bokoblin, poor guy. Here's a moblin. Throughout the Zelda games, they switch between making moblins look like pit bulls to looking like pigs to be more like Ganon. And then the game, I guess the games are just a preference of the makers of the game, but I don't know. I wish they explained that one day. The Lizalfos carry his shield on his arm. We wanted to keep in mind which direction he's facing when he strikes his armored arm, so that the player can attack from the opposite direction. For variety, we made left and right-handed versions. Kawanishi, designer, which is a good idea. Lizalfos are cool. Yes, see? Here's what I'm talking about. Pitbull, pig. Evolutions of the Moblin and the Bokoblin. The Bokoblin and the Moblin are familiar enemies who have appeared in other Zelda games. Their appearance and the weapons they carry have evolved, but regardless of the timeline, they never stop attacking Link. Yeah, sometimes they have spears, sometimes they have swords, it's always different stuff. Life lurking across the land. Sorry, I just want to keep checking the page, keep track where we are. It's hard to keep in track when you're not, when you zoom into different parts of the pages like this. When designing the Deku Baba, we kept in mind the player's ability to have both vertical and horizontal attacks in this game, and incorporate that into the design to make fighting them more fun. We think this is one of the reasons Mr. Miyamoto liked it. When designing monsters, I think it's best to keep it simple and functional. In order to show how Spoon getting ready to spit magma, we thought it would be funny to make its body inflate, so we designed it with a frog-like appearance. Kawanishi, designer. And yes, it's very true. Very true indeed. Yeah, Skulltulas are annoying, that's for sure. Octoroks, there seem like to be more grass creatures in this game. And yeah, the Deku Baba, they're the only enemies they're like the first enemies you fight in that game, and it's a good tutorial, especially to get to know to get some more experience with the motion control. Because the first thing you really fight is Keese, but it's not really count. Because all you do is swing your sword around and hope for the best. These guys, you actually have to take time with the motion control. Yeah, Skulltula. If I pronounce that right, I hope so. Ocarina of Time. Here's a couple of looks at the Octorok. The highly adaptable Octorok. Throughout the series, the Octoroks haven't changed much. In Skyward Sword, the versatile Octoroks imitate plants, but in Ocarina of Time, they're found in very watery locations. The adaptability might be an answer to the question of how they've been around for so long. That's true. There's also Octoroks in Mario Galaxy, but they call them Electumas, but come on, they're Octoroks. They are Octoroks. Come on. Get with it, man. Choo-Choos, they look ugly in this game. Nah, they look alright. The ugliest I've ever seen Choos is probably Ocarina of Time, if you want my opinion on that. With Zelda games, we usually start kicking around the idea for the monster first and the design based on that. The Ampilus is a unique example. The design came from the idea of a shell that could easily transverse the desert quicksand. On the weak spot on the Moldum's rear and is modeled after a honey ant. The juice that sprays out from the weak spot when struck by a sword is based on the obsession of the effects designers. Laughs. Kawanishi, designer. That shit was pretty funny. The Dead Warriors. The worst warriors. I hate them. Stalfos. Yeah. What pirates, dudes. Let me see here. There should be a paragraph right here. As a Stalfos, physical stamina is depleted. He loses rib bones until all of that is left is his spine. Skirvo is an ancient pirate robot. We paid close attention in Cranium to make sure this wasn't too confusing or distracting. There is an alternate version of Skirvo named Dreadfuse, where the pirate hat is simply switched with a crown. Kawanishi, designer. Oh yeah, he's a robot, isn't he? The Stalfos' transformation. In Ocarina of Time, the Stalfos have simple armor, a sword and a shield, but in Wind Waker they carry a giant club. Their equipment changes with each title. Perhaps they wield a preferred weapon of their time. Yeah, and I really like that, because it makes it seem like, these are dead warriors, and they probably were warriors of a certain era with a certain army who used certain combat mechanics. It's a cool idea. I like that. It makes things a little more dynamic. And, even though they're the same character, you know how to beat them, it'll make them more interesting. Magical beings. Magmanos. Manos means hand in Spanish. Staldras. Remnants of an ancient civilization. Beamos, final version. I hate Beamos so much. They're not that bad in 2D games, but they're really bad in 3D. Armos, final version. Cool stuff. And we get this end for page 66. We get to see this really nice, which I got a poster of this in my room. It's really nice. It's from Majora's Mask, the Goron, and what are their names? Tattle and Tail right there. There's a fairy. There's Wolf Link. There's I forgot his name. He's also from Majora's Mask. Where's the Deku Link? Oh yeah, Darmanu is the Goron, and what's the Sora's name? He was a guitarist. Okay, let's see. We got here's all the links throughout time. There's Deku Link. Yep, that's every link throughout time. Well, except taking out the future ones, the new ones. 25th Anniversary Special Illustration. A special illustration created for the 25th anniversary. From beginning to Skyward Sword, all the links are here.